What we do know is that the current riots and anarchy are prompted by some very ugly and unsavoury individuals. Last week, Rita brilliantly explained how the Black Lives Matter movement has an awful lot in common with failed states like Venezuela. On top of that, it would appear many of today's so-called anti-racists are themselves anti-Semites. Back in 2016, Black Lives Matter were roundly condemned for their anti-Semitic manifesto, which not only accused Israel of being an apartheid state, but claimed Israel was responsible for the genocide of the Palestinian people and called on Americans to support the insidious BDS movement. So, have they changed? Well, no, not according to Zoe Strimple, writing in the Australian Financial Review, who says that anti-racism movements often foster anti-Semitism. She writes, "I was dismayed but far from surprised to see that the Black Lives Matter protests have gone on producing potent outbreaks of anti-Semitism. A few weeks ago, rioting in Los Angeles following the murder of George Floyd saw a number of Jewish shops destroyed, synagogues vandalised with Free Palestine graffiti, and a statue of Raoul Wallenberg, who saved thousands of Jews from the Nazis, was daubed in anti-Semitic slogans. Earlier this month, this photo went viral, showing an elderly white man chatting to a young black girl at a Black Lives Matter rally. There we are. There's the bloke, and there's another photo of him with a girl. Supposedly a wonderful picture of anti-racism, until it was revealed that that man is in fact a notorious Holocaust denier. Now, it goes without saying that Black lives, of course, matter, as does every life, and many people who support the Black Lives Matter movement here and around the world do so because they genuinely abhor racism. But, as Strimple says, anti-racism movements themselves foster anti-Semitism frequently. She cites the Gilets jaunes in France and the UK Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn as prime examples. She also mentions the rapper known as Ice Cube, who was at a long and fraught relationship with Jews. Ice Cube denies he is anti-Semitic and claims he is just being pro-black. You can decide for yourself. He posted online a series of images of black cubes, including one suspended inside a 5-pointed Jewish star. The Daily Beast wrote that the image is linked to the sickening and idiotic conspiracy theories blaming the Jews for 9/11 and other anti-Semitic tropes. Ice Cube also posted this mural of Jewish figures playing Monopoly on the backs of black slaves, clearly tying Jews to the oppression of black people. Charming. Strimple also points out that recently at an anti-racism rally in Paris, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, there were placards and stickers saying stuff like Israel, laboratory of police violence, and so on. Strimple asks, why are so many so-called anti-racists themselves anti-Semites? She believes it's because the hard left can only view Jews as part of an imperialist, racist, Zionist conspiracy represented by Israel. Indeed, this week, an op-ed in Al Jazeera specifically links Zionism and white supremacy, repeating the false claim that the chokehold that killed George Floyd, sparking off the riots, was somehow the fault of the Israeli Defense Forces. This lie keeps resurfacing. Actress Maxine Peake repeated it in an interview with The Independent, saying, "The tactics used by the police in America, kneeling on George Floyd's neck, that was learnt from seminars with Israeli secret services." Israeli police chiefs quickly rejected her claim. But a British Labour MP, Rebecca Long-Bailey, who retweeted Maxine Peake's comments and added that she thinks the actress is an absolute diamond, has now been sacked by British Labour leader Keir Starmer for touting an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. In the hoo-ha, Maxine Peake has now clarified her original comments, tweeting, "I was inaccurate in my assumption of American police training and its sources." She adds, "I find racism and anti-Semitism abhorrent." There you go. Interestingly, it was Maxine Peake who also whipped up the firestorm that led to the cancelling of Lawrence Fox's career. Lawrence joins us in a tick. But speaking of crazy diamonds and lunatics in the head, Roger Waters, formerly of rock group Pink Floyd, trotted off to a Hamas-affiliated Gaza news outlet last week, where he also made the same repulsive claim.
That is an Israeli technique taught to the militarized police forces of the United States of America by Israeli experts, who the Americans have been flying over to the United States to teach them how to murder the blacks, because they've seen how efficient the Israelis have been murdering Palestinians in the occupied territories using those techniques, and they're proud of it.
And if you think Roger Waters should just stick to his singing, alas, even that is now steeped in his anti-Zionist obsession, particularly the idea that a state of Palestine should exist from the river to the sea.
We'll take back the land. We'll plant our olive trees from the Jordan River to the sea.
The phrase, from the river to the sea, has long been known to mean a Palestinian state free of Jews from the river to the sea, implicit in which is the annihilation or removal of the existing Jewish population. That sentiment was confirmed to me and a group of journalists when we visited Ramallah by spokespeople for the Palestinian Authority. Perhaps Mr. Waters has been too busy running his musicians' boycotts of Israel to be aware of that grotesque fact. Earlier this month, a leading evangelical Christian leader spoke out against the hypocrisy of the Black Lives Matter movement for remaining silent after synagogues and churches were attacked and defaced during their protests. And this recent poster for New York's Black Muslim Coalition, who boasts of being anti-racist, for a rally to celebrate the end of slavery, specifically says on it, "No cops, no Zionists," in the fine print. What hypocrites. Funnily enough, although I searched the Black Muslim Coalition website, I could find no mention of the fact that hereditary slavery still exists in the Muslim nations of Mali, Mauritania and Niger, or that people smugglers in Libya auction off black Africans, or that 14 of the 18 countries that the Global Slavery Index ranks as worst in the world at fighting slavery are, well, you can... Perhaps I missed that page. Oh, and that reminds me, while we're busy frantically redressing the sins of the past, someone might ask the Egyptians to pay some reparations to their former slaves, the Israelites.
Get up in the morning, saving alphabets.